Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another episode of Let's Talk Chelsea. Hope you're all doing well and keeping safe on this Sunday. Sadly, today's episode is focused on injury news in Chelsea's first team squad ahead of tomorrow night's Premier League game against West Ham. Reece James, a massive report broken by Simon Johnson last night in The Athletic about Reece potentially needing a knee operation. Massive that news and concerning absolutely, not only for tomorrow night but moving forward for Chelsea in a key period of the season. We'll get into that straight away, but also injury updates for Ziyech and Hudson-Odoi as we go into the Christmas period. Will they return tomorrow night or beyond that? We'll go into that as well. But before we do, I want to ask you guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also hit the like button if you're enjoying the content because it helps out the channel as well. It feels like a long time ago, even though it was about 2 weeks ago, that Frank Lampard was sat there smiling about having a fully fit squad for the Sevilla and Leeds games, and now we're back to normal service basically. Chelsea having consistent injury problems in the first team. Some players go out, then they return, but another one goes out for a couple of games. It's really concerning, and especially about Reece James, because it may not just be like Callum, Hudson-Odoi and Hakim Ziyech a couple of weeks. This may require an operation which could force Reece James out for an extended period of time. He's been such a brilliant player. So this report is concerning report from Simon Johnson last night. Reece James, a major doubt against West Ham and could require knee operation. This from The Athletic. Chelsea right back Reece James went for a scan on a knee injury on Saturday and is now a major doubt to face West Ham at Stamford Bridge on Monday night. Simon Johnson can reveal James has started 11 of Chelsea's 13 Premier League games, and the problem has come at a bad time for head coach Frank Lampard. The Athletic understands James felt greater pain and fluid in his knee during training on Saturday, which led to the decision to undergo a scan. Concerning for tomorrow night, concerning for the rest of the season. If an operation comes, you don't know how long a player will be out for. It could be the rest of the season. It may only be a couple of weeks. We're not sure the severity of this injury. We have to wait to see. As a precaution, I'm leaning in the direction that I think that he'll be rested tomorrow night. I think based on the way Chelsea have treated injuries so far this season, especially like Christian Pulisic, you think about it last Saturday against Everton, Frank Lampard leaving him out of the squad because he's concerned about losing all of his wingers. I think for the importance and the integral nature that Reece James plays within Chelsea's system, I don't think Frank will be risking him. If there's a chance, if there's a chance he could further hurt this knee tomorrow night, I don't think he'll be playing. And I think that's the smart decision, right? So I think you've got Dave to come in there. Reece has been incredible so far this season. If you say that Reece has been your player of the season so far, I can't really argue with you. He's been incredible, not only offensively, but the way he's improved his game defensively. That was the thing he needed to do this year to get ahead of Dave on a consistent basis, and he's done that. He's been brilliant for Chelsea. He really has. The consistency of performance, we know creatively how good he is, and that's the concern for Frank Lampard. I also think defensively, how he's done in terms of that, the physicality, one-on-one defending, just the intelligence. I think having Thiago Silva back there has positively impacted the games of James, of Zuma, of Chilwell alongside him. But James has been exceptional, he really has. But offensively, the way Chelsea look to attack, the way we play in possession is so much down to Reece James on that right-hand side. The chemistry between him and Hakim Ziyech so far this season has been a joy to watch. The creativity from James in terms of crossing, he's the best crosser at Deadpool, and just from a moving ball as well for Chelsea generally. The quality of ball that Reece James puts in a consistent basis, I don't think there are many players in the Premier League that match that, especially in fullback. I think he's been one of the best right backs in the Premier League so far this season, undeniably. It's concerning, it really is, and it's going to really put back Chelsea if we lose him for an extended period of time, especially going into games like West Ham. There's a lot of pressure on the team to get a result after 2 disappointing defeats last week. You think about Man City coming up, that's a massive clash for Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, I believe on like the 2nd of January. We've got Leicester after that. They're flying high so far this season. It's a key period of the season, and if Reece is out for an extended period of time, that's going to knock him back. I instantly think when I hear injury concerns to young players, I think of Callum Hudson-Odoi, I think of Ruben Loftus-Cheek, of how that sets them back. You think about Dave, I think that's a really good understudy for Chelsea to have. I think there was sort of some speculation we were going to have an injury concern or an injury sort of doubt for West Ham, a new one in the defence, and you were looking towards Thiago Silva, Kurt Zuma, Ben Chilwell, Edouard Mendy again. Out of all the players, and of course this is still terrible news and a terrible fear, I'm sure, moving forward, But in terms of one player from the usual back five you could deal with having out and still have a decent replacement, it's at right back. It's having Dave, probably the best understudy defensively in the Premier League in terms of reliability to step in, and is going to do a very competent job for Chelsea. So I think in terms of the players Frank Lampard could have had out, I think Reece is the one out of that back four, even though he's absolutely vital for the way we play. I think Frank can deal with that. I think if Ben Chilwell is out for an extended period of time, I'm a lot more concerned in terms of the drop in quality. I don't think there's a massive drop in quality, but offensively it affects Chelsea's game, and Frank Lampard is going to have to look to the nature of width, and we've seen this over the previous week with Callum, Hudson-Odoi and Hakim Ziyech, especially Ziyech not being in the team. Chelsea, when we don't have natural width in the team, we struggle to create chances. Without Reece James on top of Hakim Ziyech, that's an even bigger concern, at least for tomorrow night. How are Chelsea going to look to attack West Ham? It's trying to find maybe more central areas to attack, but Chelsea have thrived off the wide areas so far. So it's a concern, it really is. Fingers crossed it's not as bad as first thought. Fingers crossed that Reece, even if he sits out tomorrow night, doesn't require an operation. But if he does, it's going to massively knock back Frank Lampard's plans and the strength of the first team squad moving forward. And hopefully it's not that big, because Reece is coming into an area now and a time in his career where he really is like nailing down his place as Chelsea's main right back. You can see a long-term future with Reece and Ben Chilwell as Chelsea's main fullbacks. And for Reece, how good he's been so far this season. Let's hope, fingers crossed, praying for him, that this isn't a terrible injury, because it could really knock him back in his career. Let me know your opinions on this. I've heard some shouts about from the youth academy, like we saw Lamptey last season, Livramento potentially being brought up. I can't see that in terms of Dave being there. I think Frank will stick with Dave for the meantime, I think. And before I wrap up, just want to talk about Callum Hudson-Odoi and Hakim Ziyech, the fitness around those two, when they'll be returning. Simon Johnson in the same report did mention the names of both of these players. It seems unlikely that Ziyech will be back in any capacity tomorrow night against West Ham. He could be back for Arsenal, which is big for Chelsea moving forward, especially on the right. If we don't have Ziyech, if we don't have Reece James, where's the creativity going to come from that side? So having Ziyech back is big for Chelsea. Just generally this season, he's been brilliant for us since signing from Ajax last year. But in terms of Hudson-Odoi, he seems a little bit more optimistic that he'll be at least in the squad on the bench tomorrow night for Chelsea. I think that's brilliant for Lampard to have a wide option. He hasn't had that in the previous two games, and it's hurt Chelsea. It really has. So to have him off the bench potentially to make an impact tomorrow night would be massive, returning from injury. Hudson-Odoi is pretty adamant on social media. He posted this picture on Saturday of him in training for Chelsea, saying, "I'm back, I'm ready," which is brilliant news. Let's hope either of these players will be back for Chelsea over the Christmas period. There's going to need to be rotation in all areas for Frank Lampard in the squad, and to have a fully fit squad, or at least close to it, is massive for Lampard. So let's hope both of these players are back and firing for the first team pretty soon. But that is it for this episode of Let's Talk Chelsea. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch it. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea. Have a great day, and I'll see you again